Controlling the movement of traffic with rules and laws makes driving orderly and safe. Ignoring or breaking rules is doing the unexpected, and suddenly you become a threat to others. Collision is certain. Collision is certain. Collision. It's only a matter of when. As long as everyone follows the rules and is considerate of others, we can relax and enjoy driving. Enjoy driving. Without rules, the unexpected can be trouble.
What's up, everybody? It's Thunder here, and welcome to a brand new playthrough. Now, back in early 2015, the very first playthrough that I ever did for this channel was Demolition Racer No Exit on the Sega Dreamcast, and over 6 years later, I'm finally here to take a look at the original Demolition Racer, released in the fall of 1999 for the PlayStation, and then about a month or so later on PC. Of course, we're playing this on the PC because this is the version I grew up with. So, this is very much has the same sort of roots as what we saw in No Exit, but of course things kind of simplified, or not as much in terms of really going for it. It was a much more simpler game, and as you would have probably expected, but nevertheless we are here to do a full playthrough of it. So we're here to, this is going to be focusing on the entirety of the Demolition League. Of course, we're starting with the Rookie League, and I am using the Marauder as my choice of vehicle for this league, because the Marauder really, in a lot of ways, is a jack-of-all-trades vehicle. It doesn't really have any major sort of disadvantages in any sort of field. It's pretty much right on the average territory, so I think it makes for a decent car for that. If you are someone who is struggling a bit in terms of really getting your car easily wrecked, you might want to start with the Cruiser instead, as that has heavier armor, although is slower. And I would just avoid using the Bobcat altogether, because the Bobcat's handling is terrible, has a very weird sliding tendency, and it's also not very strong at all. So I would just skip the Bobcat altogether. It's not a vehicle that's even worth remotely using. But anyways, here on the first race of the Rookie League is, of course, USS Demolition. This is a track that would carry over into No Exit, although it's a track that you wouldn't see until later on through that game, whereas here in the original, it's the very first track you go to. Kind of interesting how things were switched about by the Dreamcast release. So if you've never played Demolition Racer and you need a bit of an idea on how it works, it's actually quite simple. This is, in this sort of game, the focus isn't just so much on finishing well and getting a high finishing position or trying to win races. You also have to focus on points. How do you get points? Well, you simply just bash the shit out of your opponents. Try to smash it. You want to try and smash and wreck into them as hard as you possibly can. Full force. The faster you hit them, the more points you get. You can get either 5, 10, 25, or 50 depending on the severity of the hit. And of course, if you are able to get them spinning around, you will get some extra bonus points. If you get their vehicle to start catching fire, you'll get a bonus for that, and you'll get 75 points if you so happen to completely destroy their vehicle. But of course, the real secret and the best one to go for is what's known as the Death from Above. Now, Death from Aboves are fairly difficult to get, but if you manage to land on top of another person's vehicle from a jump, you'll get an extra 500 points. And believe me, a combination of a high damage score alongside a multiplier for where you finish is good, because as you can see, the higher you finish, the more you get a multiplication. And of course, you want that because you're going to need to finish high to progress through these leagues. Now, so in the Rookie League, you kind of have it a little bit easy, as you saw there, is you only need to finish within the top 5 to progress. But that's not going to remain the case for the rest of them. Then in the next league, in the next racing league, you'll have to finish within the top 3, and then for the remaining leagues, you're going to have to win each event. So it gets progressively, more difficult. So you'll really have your work cut out for you. So really, my key advice for playing this game: do not focus on just trying to get to the front as quick as possible, because you're not really gonna benefit the most from doing so. The best focus is to start near the back and work your way up the field by trying to smash into as many cars as you can before you get right up there, because then you'll have accumulated a bunch more points, meaning that your chances of finishing high or getting the overall points victory will become far more likely. Of course, though, you do have to keep in mind that just like their cars, your car is also prone to being blown up or completely destroyed. You'll have a health meter that's on the bottom left, which basically just shows how much damage your car has. You can and unlike the Dreamcast version where it's like a health bar, this game has a health number, which I prefer, honestly. I think that's better than what they would use over for the Dreamcast release, but nevertheless, it's very clear on how your health is. So if you're not entirely sure, you just have to all you got to do is to take a look to the left. If once your car reaches 25, that's when your car will start catching. That's when your car will catch fire. And yeah, if you hit 0, your car is dead. Your car is done for, and your event is over, and you won't get any points. Now, as you see, just like the Dreamcast version, there are some pickups. Not as many, though. You just have simply 3 different pickups. You have a health pickup, which will give you 30 health points back. You have an armor pickup, which will make your car invulnerable from taking damage for a small period of time. And then you have the question mark pickups, which will give you a points bonus. Now, they would expand upon the points bonuses in the Dreamcast release by having plus and minuses, having ones that add points, and also some that could take away points. But in the PlayStation and PC versions, there was no minus boxes. The only points boxes were to actually give you points. But that being said, there's also less of them, so your chances of getting them were not as common, to say the least. But nevertheless, that's basically how that works. And yeah, it's a very simple game. It's very easy to pick up and play, and it's quite fun. It's not a hard game to play by any means. It is a game that you might have to take a little bit to get used to the physics in terms of how it handles, but it's really something. But you can pick it up fairly well. And whilst the cars are fairly quick, if you're able to get the hang of it down, you can catch most of them without usually too much trouble. And there you go. There is the death from above, as I mentioned. And that is something I'm admittedly glad I was able to get through the playthrough, because getting death from above in this game is not the easiest thing in the world. Especially sometimes with the damage physics say, no, you did not land on top of somebody. But nevertheless, if you are able to pull it off, that's a cool 500 points, and that will really help. And by the way, second track here is Pitbull Speedway, of course, a little subtle reference to Pitbull Syndicate, the developers of this game. And yes, Pitbull Speedway does return in the Dreamcast port as well for Demolition Racer No Exit. But of course, if you've seen my playthrough, you will have already known that. But yeah, you can see there, I made over 37,000 points with that spectacular run through that track. That was a really good run I had there. And now we come up to the next track, which I believe is called Freeway Driveby. Now, this track is not in the Dreamcast version. This was a PlayStation/PC only track, which means that after this game, it was gone. They decided to not bring it back for the Dreamcast release. I'm not really sure why not every track came back. I guess maybe they just took a look at what they had when making the Dreamcast version and just decided, let's just add the ones we like the most and then just get rid of the ones we were not as huge into. I'm not 100% sure on what the idea was or if that's actually the case or not, but that's just my guess as to what that might be. You also notice, of course, as well in this version that every vehicle that you're racing against is the same. Now, in the Dreamcast version, they add more cars to the point that there's 3, whilst they have the same type or same assortment class of vehicles. Ooh, excuse me. There are three different vehicles, which means that not every AI drives the exact same vehicle. Not the case here. Whichever vehicle you choose in the PlayStation version, every AI vehicle will drive the same car. So you're gonna have to get used to that. That is one of the things I do like about the Dreamcast version, is that the additional vehicles and even adding like additional liveries meant that the field was a lot more varied and a lot more, felt a lot more unique compared to this, where you just have the same assortment of vehicles with the same sort of livery, just with different colors and everything. And by the way, the colors are all the same too. The other rivals you see, you'll notice the color schemes are always the same too. So it's usually the same opponents. I don't remember if that's quite the case in the Dreamcast version or not. I'd have to go back and play it because it's been a while, to say the least. And yeah, definitely going on quite a bit about this game, and that's a good thing. Yeah, you probably could have guessed by now that this is a post-commentary playthrough, and the reason I'm doing this is quite simple. This is the first of what's probably going to be a pretty busy period for me. If you've been around my channel lately, you know that I haven't really been posting a whole lot as much as I used to, and it's kind of gotten to the point where I kind of want to slowly, even if it's only for a period of time, try and fix that. So I decided to pull this game. I decided to go ahead, pull this game up, and go for a run, and decide to go for a run with it to see what sort of result I could get, and maybe just very possibly could be the start of something to come here for the next while, because I'm going to be moving at the end of the year. I know some of you might be thinking you're moving again, and the simple fact of the matter is, well, this time I've had a rented unit, and my lease is coming up, and I decided not to renew it because I've got a new place that I'll be going to in February 2022. So I'd like to go there because it's a basement unit that all to myself. Two, it's part of my stepbrother's unit, so not only would I be close with family, but I'd also be getting a little bit of a deal on it, so I don't have to spend as much. And three, if I'm remembering correctly, apparently this place is in a part of the city that gets like fiber optic internet, which I believe is the service that my stepbrother has there. So there's a very good chance I might have some really damn good internet by that time. And of course, when you add all those things together, would you really want to pass it up? And plus as well, they're interested in having someone, be there for a few years. And of course, if that's how things are going to be there, with how new the unit is, how nice it is, and the internet potentially being amazing, of course I'm going to say yes. So hopefully that will be one that I definitely stay at for a while. But this place here that I've been here for about, by the end of the lease, I've been here for 2 years, and it's been fun to have my own little personal space. Sure, I'll miss, having like really a bit more confined space because I'll be in a basement rather than my own apartment condo unit. But it's no big deal. It is what it is. But yeah, that's part of the reason why I am here and why I'm doing this playthrough, and pretty much why I'm doing this playthrough, because I really just want to get some stuff going, so that during that period of time, because there will be a month and a half where I'll be back where I had been prior to, with my mother. Now they live in an acreage in a somewhat rural area, and if you know anything about rural areas, you know that internet isn't exactly great. In that area, it's not hardwired. It's through a satellite tower. Now, apparently, I've been told that their signal lately has been actually the best it's ever been. I think because their tower got upgraded, so it might be more stable or than when I was last there. Not 100% sure, but it's not going to be something particularly great. It's not going to be particularly fast, and it's going to be data capped. So, what I want to do for at least that month and a half is I want for that month and a half to at least have content I can push out, so that way I have something in the works, I have something coming out, and that way it's just there's something that is going to be, you guys will be able to watch especially during that time, just to get the more productivity side of this channel sort of back up and running, at least to the best of my sort of ability, which is what I'm trying to go for there. But nevertheless, hopefully this will be the start of things. And I thought, Demolition Racer would make a good start, because it's a game that only takes a few hours to complete, so I can start off nice and simple and, maybe work our way up. So that's where we are here. No, anyways, this track here is the parking lot. One of my favorite tracks. It's because it's a very a bit of a madness-filled track where a lot usually tends to happen. You'll notice that more so in the later events, the later leagues where I come back to this event. Excuse me. But this is also the last event of this particular league. Yeah, only 4 races in this first league, which is less than, I think, the first league in the Dreamcast version. But nevertheless, it is what it is. There's just not as many events, there's not as many cars, there's just not as much in the original PlayStation release, but I guess, to be fair, that's to be expected, really. But that doesn't matter, because all that matters is that we do well, and hey, look, another first place finish. And there we go. That is the first league finish. The rookie league is now complete. However, after you finish this league, you get this really cheesy kind of cheesy FMV there. And then we get a screen of what we've unlocked: the semi-pro league, the chase mode, some cars, and some tracks and stuff. But we'll get into the next league, the semi-pro league, in part 2. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my links down below. And if you want to become a Patreon member, it's just $1 or more. We'll get your name in every video. Thank you all, and I hope to see you on the next one.